Okay. So today we're going to be talking about business plans. There's a lot of material here. Do not get overwhelmed. We're here to support you. So it's all great information to get that thought process started. We have our very own David Kulow with us today. He is a Boston business mentor and one of our volunteers and is giving this topic for us today. Can you go? Yep. Boston business mentors, we've been in business for since October, but we are no less seasoned. Many of us are from SCORE Boston's executive team, and many of the more active mentors came over and started this nonprofit to support our clients more fully. So we're excited to be able to offer all the things that we do. So I'll go over those things next. If we can go to the next slide. So there's a couple different ways that we are supporting clients right now. Workshops and webinars. You're here today. We also have strategy roundtables, networking events. All these things are advertised through our website, newsletters, on social media. So keep an eye out for it. I'm adding new topics constantly, all the time. So look for those. They're coming out weekly. You can watch anything that you may have missed on our website under the workshop tab. There's a recording section. That's where you're going to find the recording for anything that we do record. We also provide you with information that can be the templates that we have that you can download. It can be our podcasts and our blogs. Our blogs page is quite robust. We're very proud of it. There are articles from Boston Business Mentor volunteers. There are articles from some of our partners. They are current issues that are facing companies today or startups today, and I think they're worth a read. Some of them are even industry specific. So take a look there. Without a doubt, most important thing we do would be the mentoring. Our mentors can play many different roles for you. They can be a sounding board. They can be someone who can help you find resources to overcome challenges. They can be someone that helps you plan for your goals. Whether you're in the startup phase, in the growth phase, or in the exiting phase, we have mentors that can help you. They have we have 40 plus mentors at this time, volunteers. They have a variety of skills and experiences they've learned from, whether they're positive experiences or negative experiences. They have an accumulated wisdom, and they work together as a team to make sure you have all the tools you need to be successful. If you've not had a mentor, everyone will tell you it's a great experience. You will learn. You can use that QR code to apply for a mentor today. We'll also put it up at the very end. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to David Kulow. As I mentioned, he is one of our Boston business mentors, and I'm going to let him tell a little bit about himself as we get started. So I'm going to turn it over to you, David.
Thank you very much, Teresa. I just want to build on one thing that Teresa said in terms of the webinars. If I remember correctly, that Teresa has put together and Boston Business Mentors have presented over 30 webinars in the last quarter or last 6 months. So it's quite a robust amount of resources for you and things to watch on different topics. So my name is David Kulow. I am a serial kind of entrepreneur, mostly on the consumer product side. I have grown and sold multiple businesses in the consumer product space. I have also imported and sold products from multiple countries at various sizes and various success levels. So I have scars on my back and circles under my eyes that are healing. I just sold, or my last business was acquired in 2025. And so I really am excited to give some things back. We used SCORE for our business in New Hampshire, and it was very helpful. So it's part of my desire to give back. So today's agenda is focusing on business plans, the intro and goals, which we've just been doing or doing now. First section is why have a business plan? What's the importance of it? And then what is the difference between a business plan and an operating plan? Then the third aspect will be looking at business model canvas, which is how to, if you haven't done one, or if you're a startup thinking of a concept, how do you kind of organize and outline what your strategy is going to be? So then the fourth one is, once you've got that strategy outlined, but you haven't actually written a tool, what are some AI-based or software tools that are practical that can help you? And I'll go into what is maybe more helpful depending on the type of business you have. And the fifth section goes into detailed business plans for larger companies or those wanting to raise funds, or if you're at the exit phase. And then last, we'll have a question and answer. One thing, if you have questions on specific slides, please put them in the chat to Teresa, and she'll interrupt me and I'll try to address those specific to a slide. If they're general questions, please wait to the Q&A. So with that, our goals today are to provide you with a good understanding, a basic understanding of the importance of a business plan. As I mentioned, the differences between that and an operating plan, how to use Canvas, the AI-based tools, and the more detailed plan. And in the last part, depending on time, is we go into kind of what the section purpose, what they are, why they're important, their purpose, what and can be and should be included, and then tips that might help you write them and help make them more impactful for your audience. So why have a business plan? So it's the foundation. It defines your vision, your mission, your strategy. It helps validate what your business idea and opportunity is. It aligns your stakeholders, whether it's your leadership team, if you have one, your staff, if you have a board of advisors or board of directors. It helps everybody get in alignment, and it guides your decision making. So it really is the guardrail for helping you keep within it. If it's outside of the strategy, then don't do it. It helps communicate the value proposition, which is the why. What problem do we solve? What need do we satisfy? It helps formalize the competitive analysis, you versus your competitors, whether, say, you're a hair salon and working regionally in the Boston area. Who are your competitors? How are they priced? Or a consumer products company that sells either regionally in the Northeast or, say, nationally. So it also helps you evaluate the risks and constraints. Unfortunately, very rarely do things go according to plan. So it's important to understand what your customer risks might be, what your supplier risks might be, what your financial risks might be in terms of, say, cash flow or operational. During COVID, it was very difficult to get employees that you wanted. I'll give another example in terms of customer and supplier risks. So the business that was acquired in 2025, two of its suppliers, its top supplier and its third largest supplier, went bankrupt during COVID. If it hadn't identified supplier risks and had contingencies and backup suppliers, that might have affected things. So then the other aspect or reason to have a business plan is if you're larger or in a fundraising stage. Say you're trying to get a bank line of credit, or you're trying to get investors with equity or convertible debt. They're going to want additional information, more detailed information. And then, of course, if you're exiting and at that stage where you're selling, the acquirer is going to want more. And as I said, the fundamental aspect is that it really sets the strategic guardrails for your operating or action plan. So with that, I'll go into kind of the differences between a business plan and an operating plan. So business plan purpose is long-term strategy, and if you're fundraising or selling. Operating plan is about execution and internal alignment. So what are the actions that we're going to do? So the focus for a business plan is strategic. It's an overview of the company's purpose, goals, structure, market, strategy, et cetera, as we'll go into. An operating plan is very tactical. It goes into specific detailed actions and tasks that you're going to take and what resources you're going to need to execute on the plan's strategy. So the primary audience is for a business plan is more external, boards, investors, lenders, but also leadership, whereas an operating plan is almost solely internal for you, your sales and marketing, operations, and finance. Time horizons, longer term for business plans, 1 to 5 years. Operating plan is narrowly focused. What are we going to do in the next year? So the level of detail is kind of high level strategy for the business plan, whereas the operating plan is very detail oriented. It's a living document that you're going to update annually. Some businesses do it on a quarterly basis, on a rolling basis. If they've accomplished things in this quarter, what does that impact a quarter for a year from now? Whereas the business plan, once you have it, it's really periodic when you update it. When you're pivoting strategy, or say if you're going to fundraise. And what's in it will go into what's in a business plan. An operating plan, has sales targets that you're going to achieve by customer or product or service, what you're going to spend in the trade to have those customers buy your product or service, the demand plan, your marketing calendar, supply chain if you have it, and service companies have supply chains as well. Say you're a hair salon, you need scissors, you need combs, blow dryers, etc. And then hiring, staffing. What is your staffing needs in the next year for an operating plan? Key performance indicators that you're going to measure to see that you're on it, and what's your budget? So very different financial projections and sensitivities and kind of funding needs and how you're going to use the proceeds if you're raising funds. Those are in a business plan. Whereas the operating plan is what's your budget, your cash flow, and cash flow is king, and we'll talk a little bit about that later, and expense control. So this originally we were looking at doing business plans and operating plans, but we felt that business plan is the foundation, and there's so much robust information how to get that right. And then if you want, and please put this in the chat to Teresa, whether if you want a separate one on what's an operating plan and how to go about putting one together for the next year. So now we're going to start kind of fundamentally. So many companies or concepts, they're at the concept stage or the startup stage, or they've launched their business and they've never really put a formalized plan together or a strategy together, or they're getting ready to fundraise. And so what do? So a really good practical tool to use is a business model canvas, or just for short for BMC. It's it's a strategy tool that helps you put together an outline of what your strategy should be and assess your concept and how you're going to go about doing it. And as I mentioned, it's for startups, those without a plans, or for larger companies or established companies that may be looking at, hey, is our strategy correct, or should we look at altering it a little bit? So there are 9 sections that that we'll go into very quickly. And it's really, you can put it on one page or have each of these sections kind of laid out. So this is, again, as a tool. When you go online, look up search for a business model canvas. There's one brand strategizer, which is here. So you can look that one up. And it really goes into the 9 sections and it lays it out. So now we're going to go into each of those sections. I know I'm going very fast. So if you do have questions, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat to Teresa, and she'll gladly interrupt me and I'll address the questions. So the first thing is, what is your value proposition? What customer problem do you solve or need do you satisfy? Because that's really the driver of somebody buying your product or service. So what are you satisfying? What is compelling and differentiating about your product and service? And why will customers want your product or service versus a competitor's? So that's the value proposition. So start there and really think carefully about that. Second is customer segments. So who are the different groups you aim to reach, serve, and sell to? So the customer segments are, who are your target customers? Are you going to be a business to business company, or are you going to be a business to consumer company? What are the demographics if you're going to be looking at consumers? Age, gender, income level, those types of things are all in terms of the customers that you're going to target. And also location. Are you going to be a local company, such as, say, the hair salon, or say a regional company or a national company? And then for whom are we creating value? So there is the segments. And then once you've identified your value proposition, which leads to the customers that you're going to target, the segments, then once you've targeted those customers segments, what relationship do you want to have? How are you going to develop a relationship enough where they're going to want to buy your product, purchase, and hopefully repeat purchase? Is it going to be an ongoing relationship? So for example, selling a car or selling a house or if you're a real estate agent, that's more infrequent in terms of a relationship. Whereas, say, subscription dog food, many owners of dogs, they'll go through a bag of dog food in a month and a half, and they'll put it on Chewy.com or Amazon to have it automatically shipped to them. So that's one thing. Hopefully, if you're a service, say the hair salon, hopefully your customers come back, say, monthly or every 6 weeks to get their hair done. So again, that's the service side. So aspect of the relationship is it's a process. So how do they become familiar with you, or make them aware of you and connect with you? Then once you've connected with them, how do they try your product or acquire it? And then hopefully repeat purchase or retain them. And then how do you grow your customers? So how do you create that long-term loyalty? Because it's 6 times harder or more costly to acquire a new customer than to maintain an existing one. So that's really important in terms of how you nurture that relationship. So another aspect is customers are really important. They can either be promoters of your business or detractors of your business. Many of you may go on Amazon to research potential product. What's one of the first things that people look at? The reviews. Are they above 4? Where are they? What are the negative aspects, for those who said 1 or 2? So those are really important aspects to look at. So next is, once you identified the customer, your value, your customer, and the relationship you want to have, you look at how are you going to reach, or where are you going to reach your customer with your product or service? Where are they going to go for your type of value service, value proposition? So for example, a high-end gourmet type of food, that isn't necessarily going to go, it'll go more into gourmet or specialty, as opposed to, say, your more traditional supermarkets. So you want to match where your customers shop for your type of products for the channel that you're looking at selling your product or service to. And how do you reach them? All right. So after you've got your channel, then you look at your revenue or cash in. How is cash generated for your product or service from the customers? And this is really important. And I'm going to talk about cash briefly because cash is king, especially for small businesses. Yes, profit and loss is important, but cash is really the driver and the foremost aspect of your decision making. And I'm going to give a quick plug for, there's a cash flow seminar on May 14th, which I highly recommend you attend, because it goes into how to really manage your cash, how to use forecasting so that you can anticipate if you're going to have a cash flow crunch, say in 6 months. Very important for seasonal businesses. Say you're an insect repellent or a sunscreen company. You're making your revenue more from that February kind of early spring sales to your distribution channels, your stores, and then consumers buy it through the summertime, and then sales drop off a cliff in the fall and winter time, and then rev back up in the spring. So that's very important. How do you manage the cash so that when the cash dips coming in the fall and winter, how do you manage that and survive that aspect? So the revenue streams of how much will a consumer play or customer pay for your value proposition, that's really about pricing. And there's been a pricing webinar that's available in the BBM resources to look at on that. Are we appropriately priced versus our competitors? Are we premium, value, or discount? If your product is not as good a quality, but yet you're priced premium versus your competitors, they're not going to buy yours. They're going to buy the competitors because that's a better value for them. So at that point, you'd have to lower your price and become more of a discount, but you may or may not have the cost controls in place to be able to justify that. So it's really important to look at that. How often will a customer purchase your product or service? And can we increase that purchase frequency? So I've worked with a client that's a breadcrumb company, and all of us have breadcrumbs sitting in our kitchen cabinet somewhere. So what this company has started to do was to put recipes together that use their breadcrumbs, so to help hopefully increase the use of the breadcrumbs to increase purchase frequency. So, and then the aspect is, how do you earn revenue from customers? Is it one time subscriptions, as we talked about with the dog food? Is it a fee-based one, etc.? So those are really important to think about. Next is, once you've got your channels and your strategy around your value proposition and customers, what are the key resources you're going to need, your assets? So what are the most important things to make your business concept model successful? So resources could be inventory if you're a product company, skills that you need to have to develop. Are you a hair salon? You need to be certified. Financial, do we have the line of credit at a bank or the capital to invest and make it through those seasonalities? Intellectual property, skills, etc. And then human, that's more your staff. Do you have what you need to take care of maintaining your value proposition for your product or service, maintaining your customers and broadening those customer relationships, channels that you provide, that you sell to in terms of your product or service, and are you have consistent and growing revenue streams? So at the bottom, there's a little chart. What are the human resources? Knowledge, skills, abilities, talents. Financial, do you have startup funding? Do you have operating or working capital? Are you going to look at R&D for your product or service? That may take some level of investment. If you're at a stage where you're ready to grow and expand, you may need working capital for that. So an increased line of credit based on your assets or receivables. Physical aspects. So fixed assets, location. Are you renting your hair salon? Equipment. Do you have production equipment that you need to produce your product or service or your breadcrumbs? What intellectual property do you have? Trademarks? Do you have patents or trade secrets? That increases the value of what you of your business and your how you operate. So once you have the resources you need, you kind of go into the key activities or actions. So this starts to get on the more operating side. So what are your priority activities required to create and maintain your value proposition, develop and keep customers, and service and grow your distribution channels? What are the most important things you must do without fail to make your business model work? So that is the next out of these 9 business model canvas aspects. So then as we get towards the end of it, cost structure. This is very well much tied to your revenue streams. So what are the most important costs to operating your business? What are your fixed costs that you, no matter what, have to pay? You have to pay your rent. You have to pay insurance. You have to do your payroll if you have employees. What are your variable costs that really relate to how much you sell? So an example for a product company could be your shipping. So if say your sales go down, you won't be shipping as much, so that cost will go down as well. So it's variable. Another one is, say you have commissions or an affiliate program where you pay people a percentage of what they sell for you. That's a variable rate because if they sell less, you pay them less. What are your cost of goods sold? And the cost of goods sold for a product company is fairly obvious. But for a service company, it's also your time. And what's the cost, say, on a hair salon of your, when you amortize the cost of your equipment, of the chair that you have there? And what's your inventory carry? So for example, a repellent company, how much insect repellent are they carrying over that fall and winter that they've paid for that they have to wait to be able to sell in the next spring, summer? What are your sales and marketing costs? And it's important to look at what is the ROI on those, because if you're not getting a good return on investment, you want to decrease those. And same thing with the key resources and activities that we talked about. What are the expensive and what's the ROI on those? Also, as you're developing your outline, what are the key partners? Who has a vested interest in growing your business and helping make it successful? Banks and funding sources is obviously there. Suppliers. If you grow and order more, they have a vested interest in that. What are potential strategic alliances and joint ventures that you can do to get your word out and to get additional customers looking at your products? Sales development partners. Do you want to have reps or brokers that you pay on a commission basis? Who does your marketing? Do you have somebody that maintains your website and helps you do customer outreach or customer service? So what are the key resources that you want your partners to provide? And then look at what partners can provide those. All right. So that is stage one. You may already be there. You may have a concept. You may be operating your business, but never actually formalized kind of or outlined your strategy. So the next section that we're going to go in is you've got your strategy, but now you want to write a plan. So once the strategy is, is done, whether you use a BMC or other tool, now there are some tools to help you actually write a business plan. So the level of detail of the written plan really depends on the purpose, such as, is it internally oriented for staff or board of directors? Is it for fundraising for equity or say a debt, meaning bank line of credit? Or if you're going to sell your business at the exit stage? And in my time, I've done business plans that are kind of 5 to 10 page skeletal plans that are more internally oriented and helped us kind of keep our aligned as a team and as a whole stakeholders. And then I've done 20 to 30 page business plans. They're far more robust, more detailed in terms of 1 to 5 years in things. So I'm going to focus on smaller, earlier stage for right now, and some tools to help write it if you've never written a plan or you want to revise a written plan. So I'm going to go into AI-based and software tools to help you. Each of them has strengths and weaknesses and are appropriate for different types of businesses. So I'll try to go in and give you an idea of, depending on what type of business you are or why you're writing a plan, which one may be more appropriate for you to try. So here are 2 AI-based business plan generators. So they're BizPlan AI and Canva Magic Write. So for owners that wanting a highly detailed, editable plan with minimal effort, AI, BizPlan AI may be better for you. Whereas Canva Magic Write is better for owners wanting fast drafts, but very strong design to make it look attractive and for presentations, etc. So BizPlan AI, very good for fast AI drafts, complete drafts, and competitive analysis, whereas Canva Magic Write is more for beautiful layouts and pitch-ready visuals. Weaknesses, BizPlan AI, you have to monitor it, make sure it's accurate. when it say requires validation, it really is, okay, is this information, this data that's provided, is it accurate? So it's kind of the trust but verify moniker. Whereas Canva is not a full planning system. It's limited in its financial modeling, if that's something that's important. And then what are they good for? Again, you know, cementing this, rapid drafting, AI assisted financial modeling, whereas Dexon presented and brand forward founders who are ready to look out. So now we have business plan software. So there's 4 that are here. And those are Live Plan, Biz Plan Builder, Business Sorter, and Reich. And they have different strengths and weaknesses, which is listed here. So when you're ready, go online, go to the BBM resources and look at these. Because here are some suggestions for business types. For consumer product goods companies, which is what I focus on, you know, your primary needs are market analysis, competitive analysis, channel strategy, pricing, supply chain. BizPlan AI is good for drafting that, market, consumer, competitive, go-to-market strategy. LivePlan is very good at building the financial model, cost of goods sold, trade spend, velocity, which is units per store per week. Reich can help manage commercialization and kind of your product launch timeline. So that's one type of business. Services, whether you're a consulting business like I have now, whether you're an agency, say a travel agency, or you're a trade person like an electrician, or say you do personal services like a hair salon or coaching. So those needs are a little different. They may be more local market positioning. How do you price your capacity planning? How many haircuts can you truly give in a day? Or do I need to have somebody else come in and help me scale and do haircuts as well? So Live Plan and Business Sorter are very good. Live Plan has actual service-based model templates. It can help you forecast. Business Sorter prioritizes service lines, workflow, and helps with staffing. Another type is, are you going to be a retail or are you going to sell your product or service, whether brick and mortar, e-commerce, and omni-channel? So again, Live Plan, Biz Planner AI, and Reich are good for that. So which tool should I use? This is for questions to ask yourself. I need a complete guided plan with financials. So try Live Plan or Business Builders. You'll get a structured prompt. You get structured prompts, built-in forecasting, and say you're trying to raise money, for example, with the SBA, it has SBA ready for formatting. It's very helpful for raising funds or selling your business to investors, lenders, banks, and even grants if you're looking to apply for grants. I need a fast draft that I can refine for whatever reason. Say you've got a meeting or a board meeting, or you're trying to get some people on board. Business Planner AI and Canva Magic Write. AI generating the narrative, so it helps. AI will help you do it very quickly. I need team alignment and internal clarity. So you're trying to really keep it focused. Try Business Sorter. It helps team prioritize goals and structure planning together. I need a plan integrated with execution. In other words, I need the strategy, but then how do I operate on it? Kind of helps you going into that operating plan mode. Try Right. It's more of an operating plan tool, prioritizing goals, structure, and execution. So I hope, again, this gives you an idea of some tools on how to do your strategy and outline it. And then once you need to write a plan, here are some tools to go into helping you write that plan. So the next thing that we'll do is, say you're a larger company or you're looking at raising funds either through investors or say getting a bank line of credit, or you're looking to sell your business. You need a more detailed business plan. And so here is sections for a longer, highly detailed plan. So I'm going to go fairly quickly through these to give you an idea of their purpose, what can be included in them, and then tips for writing them, because I want to make sure that we have time for Q&A. And again, I hope that, there's an old adage in sales that if you can't convince them, confuse them. That's not my goal. I want to convince you of the importance of a business plan and convince you to use the tools there are, starting with the outline and then writing it. I don't want to confuse you. So please ask questions to Teresa or save them for the last portion. So for larger plans, there are main sections: executive summary, company description. I won't go through the list now. They're in each of these following slides. So the executive summary, the purpose is to really provide kind of high-level overview of what's in the rest of the plan. You want to quickly capture the reader's interest. It provides kind of also a cut and paste ability if you want to say, to go to somebody and say, hey, quickly, here's an executive summary, just a quick snapshot of what our company is. So it summarizes all the main points of the following sections and what your business is. So tips for writing it: outline the specific goals in advance that you want your reader to take away. What's the takeaway that you want from them? I would suggest writing it at the end, so you have all the other sections done, and then it's easy to pick off what's the most important thing from the following sections that I want the reader to know up front so that they can look to make sure they get it. And also write it again as a standalone document that you can send to people as a teaser. So next is company description, nuts and bolts, explains what the business is, why it exists, where you want it to go, and why it will succeed. So it's legal info in terms of the official name, legal structure: are you an LLC, S corporation, sole proprietor, C corporation, etc. What's your mission, the purpose of the company, why it exists, problem that solves, starting with the value proposition. Where is it heading? What the company wants to become. Do you want to stay local, a single hair salon shop, or do you want to grow and have a regional chain of those shops? Or do you want to go national with your product or service? And what are your core values, the principles that you want to operate your business no matter what? Founding story, history, what's your objections and long-term goals? Answer the 5 W's in terms of tips: who, where, why, what, when, and how. Keep it clear and concise. I'm starting to go a little bit more rapidly in this. So again, if you have questions, please ask. Purpose of product or service: explains what you sell and why customers will choose yours over your competitors. Now, I may at some point just talk about products versus services, or just have the word product. It just saves space. But many of these are also apply for services. So again, fundamental to your value proposition: what are the needs your product or service meets, problems they solve, how the product meets and solves them. So it's not just what it does, but how it does it. What do you sell? What do you plan in the future? What are the competitive advantages, features, benefits, differentiation, pricing? Are you premium, value? Are you looking at a subscription model to have kind of repeat purchase, which is really important? And what kind of entries, intellectual properties or barriers to entry that'll help your business? So for example, one of the businesses that I had sold over-the-counter topical products for itch relief and antibiotics. So even though it used natural ingredients, it went through the process of the FDA testing, FDA validations, which was very costly. So competitors, natural ingredient-based competitors, didn't have, it cost them money. So that was kind of cost is a little bit of a barrier to entry. So how do you hook? What is the hook for the customer product? You want to be clear and concise. Use visuals and diagrams so the reader more easily envisions. So have pictures or images of your products, for example, on there. Your market and channel analysis, this is probably your first and most important, with financial model being second for a detailed plan. It shows what your market is, the gaps that you fill to add sales to your say your customers, what you segments you sell to, your competitors, etc. So, and your differentiation. So what's the overall market size? What kind of share you think you'll be able to capture? Again, going back to the BMC, your customer segments you want to target, your competitors, and differentiation versus competitors. In other words, your value proposition. Tips for writing it: focus on consumers, who buys, why they buy, etc. Quantify, highlight 2 to 3 trends. Use third-party data to support your claims and have footnotes. And I strongly suggest that you use AI. I didn't put this in here, but use AI to help flush out kind of your market or your channels. All right. Then once you have your channel, what's your sales strategy for your channel and customers? Your revenue generating plan, pricing, etc. Targeting. What's your distribution? Are you direct to consumer, which is more for service? Well, maybe you could be a business to business service provider. Are you local, regional, or national? Again, going back to that BMC, do you have a sales team? What's your revenue model, or what's your revenue stream, going back to the BMC? And then kind of a revenue forecast and assumptions based on your customers. What are they going to buy? How often? Which products? What price are they going to pay on average for it? So some tips: make it realistic, not overly optimistic. Tie it to your financial projections. Show priorities and sequencing. You can't do it all at once. Let's say for a company that's starting out, that's a products company, you want to try to test, say, in New England, and then grow regionally if you get distributors, and then step by step grow nationally. What bottoms up revenue forecast. So kind of products, or let's focus on services for example. Number of customers that are going to come to my salon and buy my service. How many services are they going to buy? Can I bundle services together? For example, our lawn care people, they also do pest control. So we bundle with them, we get a discount, and they have a higher average value for us as a customer. So the average dollar, etc. Marketing strategy: how do you create demand or build that brand loyalty and consistent repeat purchase? Which increases your dollar per customer over the year. So your marketing strategy includes positioning your target customer, going back again to your customer segments and your customer relationships. What is your strategy for, say, paid strategy? Do you advertise on Facebook, your TikTok, Google? Do you reach out to influencers? I'm working with a men's hair care company, and they've partnered with an influencer named Pete Holmes, who's a comedian located in the West Coast. He has millions of followers. So they pay him for the revenue that he brings in. What's your owned strategies? Say you have a packaging for a products company, or your storefront visibility for a service. What influencers you do? Are you able to get PR or user-generated content? Retail strategy: if you're a products company, displays, promotions, coupons, scans, demos. What's your marketing budget and allowances? And then tips for writing the marketing strategy: align it with your consumer insights, your value proposition. Balance long-term brand building with short-term sales driving tactics, which is important. You want to have marketing is really hard to analyze how successful it is and generate a return. What's the return on the investment? So it's really important to understand what's your cost of acquiring a customer. That's called CAC. You want to try to drive that down. And then, of course, how do you repeat purchase? So then operations, how are the product or services made or delivered, moved and managed for a product company? This next portion, kind of parts of an operating plan for a product company. How do you get your manufacturing done? Do you do it in-house or is it outsourced? Supply chain sourcing for service company, say you're a lawn care company, you have to have lawnmowers, you have to have trucks, those types of things, where you get them. Warehousing, or if you have that, and again, risk management. So try to use visuals as a tip and be aware of your risk in terms of your operations. You may lose employees. How might, a key employee, they might get a better offer. How do you retain them or find new employees? Next section, which kind of just goes quickly into your management and organization. Who's your team? So kind of a leadership team overview, responsibilities, roles, experiences, organizational structure. What's your org chart? There are tips online for filling out, an org chart to make it, visually easy to understand. You might have advisors, strategic partners, and you might have a board of governors, a board of directors, which is more for governments. So that's management. Financial plan, as I said, is the second largest, most important one, or right up there with the market analysis. It quantifies the product, profit and loss, cash flow. And again, for smaller businesses, cash flow is king. It's more important than profit and loss. And that May 14th cash flow will go into kind of how to manage cash flow forecast and what are scenarios where on paper you might be profitable, but you're burning or losing cash. So there are examples of types of companies that do it. What are your break-even analysis and sensitivities when things don't go according to plan? So revenue model, bottoms up. What are your expenses? Cash flow forecast, profit and loss projections, which is really, if you're fundraising, you want to project out. Balance sheet, unimportant, and don't spend time on that if you're not fundraising. Especially banks want to see your balance sheet, or if you're going to get a line of credit from somewhere based on inventory and receivables, they're going to want to see what are the balance sheet numbers for those. Tips for writing the plan: show your math, put it on a spreadsheet, use an appendix for greater detail, cash flow versus P&L, sales booked versus cash collected. It may be that you do sell a product, but you don't get paid for 90 days. That's cash is important, and you might have cash out. If you're buying inventory, again, that seasonal company has paid for inventory that it's sold in the summertime, but it may be carrying that all the way through the fall and winter time. So, principal, debt payments, principal and interest take cash, but the principal payments don't affect the profit and loss. So you could have a high amount, you took a big loan but you have to pay the principal back. So you may be profitable, but you have such high principal repayments that you're burning cash, or you have a negative cash flow. So funding asks and proceed use. This is really, if you're raising funds, how much are you going to raise? How do you want it structured? What's the timing? How are you going to use it? So I'm not going to spend time on that. Use this as a reference if you go back. And then the appendix. Again, this is if needed. It supports your main section's claim. It has your documents, your market analysis. It has all the backup, and you put it as a separate document. That's really match to the audience. Are you using it for investors or lenders? Make it as a separate document. So that, I know, was a lot. Hopefully you now have a better understanding of the importance of a business plan, the differences between a business plan and an operating plan, how, if you're developing your strategy, start with an outline. You may already have that, but if you don't, maybe use a business model canvas to help the different sections to help you frame that out. And then when you're ready to write, I strongly suggest using AI-based and software tools to help write the plan. Don't totally rely on AI. You have to make it your own and put the narrative in your own words. So you have to tweak it. And then more business plan sections, again, depending on what you're looking for, whether fundraising, et cetera, tips are there. So thank you. I appreciate your time and for joining us. I know it was a lot. And now, Teresa, I'll turn it
Yeah.
over to you and others for Q&A.
Yeah, please get your questions in. I have not had any submitted yet, but I know you have questions. So,
I know. Again, it goes back to the convince, versus confuse. I hope I haven't confused you all.
yeah,
So,
and know that you don't have to do the business plan alone. That's what our mentors are here for.
yeah.
It's one of the many tasks that they can help you with. So consider using that QR code and signing up for somebody to help you. It does help to have at least somewhat of an outline or something down to start with, but to give them something to jump off with from there. But we're here to help you. You don't have to go through it alone. We got your back on that one. So reach out to us. I still don't see any questions posted. So I'm going to assume that you're all busy filling out your request for a mentor. I will be sending you a follow-up email with the recording. And I'll also include that business model canvas template so that you can have something to get started with on your own. I do see some comments in chat that say, thank you very much, David. So we have some appreciation there in chat for what you offered today. So, all right.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to do two things. Number one is, again, do a quick plug for the May 14th cash flow. Again, for smaller businesses, cash is king. So it's really important to understand that. And the other thing is, if you want to go into kind of how to do an operating plan and kind of formalize that, please let Teresa know, and a separate webinar. It'll probably be shorter than this one, but a webinar on how to develop a quick operating plan to help you frame your actions over the next period of time. So
Okay.
thank you.
All right, great. Excellent. Well, I'll see you all on a future webinar. Yeah, I actually have a reply in chat already from two people asking about operating plans. So I guess you have a new task, David.
Okay, that
All
sounds good.
right.
We'll take care of
Okay.
the cash flow and put the operating plan after that.
All right. All right. Thanks,
All right.
everyone.
Thank you, Teresa, and thank you everyone for your time. And I really wish you good luck in your businesses. And please let BBM know how I can help.
Thank you.